This is a deeply personal episode that discusses themes of a sensitive and intimate nature. I want to respect all views and opinions by expressly stating that this is my story. I'm simply telling it in the hopes that it can help someone else. It's not right or wrong, good or bad, it just is. Welcome back to the Love Tribe podcast. If you've been listening for a while, you'll know that I've been guided on this journey. I've shared a few stories so far, but this one is the real reason behind it all. The story that I hope speaks the loudest. Today I'm sharing my 10-year journey of celibacy. 10 years without sex, but more importantly, 10 years of coming home to myself. 10 years of learning that my body is sacred. That love isn't something I earn through intimacy. That being desired isn't the same thing as being valued. Before we begin, I want to ask something of you. If there's someone you love, someone who's ever confused being wanted with being worthy, please send this episode to them. Because this is why I'm sharing it. Not for shock value, not for attention, but because we need to change the way we think about sex. We need to remember that intimacy starts in the soul, not the body. You are already whole, already enough, already lovable, exactly as you are. So this is for anyone who's ever questioned that. Before we go any further, I want to be really clear about something. I don't carry sexual trauma. I've never been abused in any way. And before I chose this path, I had what most would call a healthy relationship with sex and my body. But I've also shared in earlier episodes that I did shut down. Not in one big moment, but slowly, over time. After heartbreak, after carrying too much, after holding it all together for everyone else. If you've listened to episode 2, The 10-Year Silence, you'll remember the relationship that quietly unraveled, the one that began casually, grew deep, and then ended without explanation. That ending became a turning point, not because it hurt the most, but because it revealed the most, about what I had been tolerating, about how far I had drifted from myself. So while celibacy became a conscious choice later, at first it was simply a way to survive heartbreak. I didn't announce it. I didn't call it anything. I just stopped saying yes to what no longer felt good. I stopped giving pieces of myself away to feel wanted. I stopped confusing intimacy with connection. I wasn't afraid of sex. I was tired of performing for love. Tired of sharing something sacred with people who couldn't meet me emotionally. Tired of the silence that followed closeness, the kind that leaves you lonelier than before. What started as protection became something else entirely. It became a kind of clarity, a quiet power, a way to come back to myself fully, gently, and without compromise. Somewhere along the way, I also realized something else. Attraction for me doesn't start in the body. It starts in the mind. Without emotional and intellectual connection, I wasn't able to be intimate at all. That's not something we're taught to understand. We grow up on movies that glorify instant chemistry, the spark, the heat, the fairy tale, but no one tells you that you can crave connection more than contact. That you can be deeply romantic and still deeply discerning. I used to listen to friends or family tell me that I was too picky, that I should just have fun and see where things go, but I couldn't, because what I was really craving was resonance, and resonance is different from chemistry. Chemistry is the spark. It's fast, intense, and often fleeting. Resonance is deeper. It's when two souls meet in truth. It's emotional safety, it's presence. It's what allows intimacy to feel real, safe, and alive. That's what I wanted, and what I had been denying myself, because I didn't think I could ask for it. But over time, celibacy gave me the space to stop apologizing for needing more. It gave me the courage to stop settling for connection that wasn't fully mutual. And it slowly, gently taught me how to come home to myself. Celibacy gave me space to see clearly, without the noise of romantic relationships or the emotional confusion that sometimes follows intimacy. I started hearing my own voice again. Not the one shaped by old beliefs or past dynamics, but the voice underneath all of that. The voice that had been always there, quietly waiting to be trusted. In that space, I stopped performing. I stopped people-pleasing, stopped bending myself into versions that were easier to love. And the more I stood in that truth, the more magnetic I became. There's something that happens when you stop betraying yourself to be chosen. You start to attract people who respect your boundaries, who meet you with clarity, not confusion, who love you not for your willingness to bend, but for your ability to stay rooted. It shifted my relationships with everyone around me. Friendships became more honest. Family dynamics softened. I no longer needed to be understood by everyone, just seen by the right people. I began to draw in soul-aligned connections, the kind that felt like home because I was finally at home in myself. And perhaps the most surprising part was the community that was built through the business I created from love. In devoting myself to healing, I unknowingly built a space where others could heal too. Through teaching, through storytelling, through choosing presence, my business became a reflection of my values, and the people it brought into my life became mirrors of my growth. Kindred spirits, soul-led women, truth seekers. I didn't just find connection, I found my people. I also found a deeper connection to spirit and to nature. It was like my nervous system began to harmonize with life itself. And somewhere in that stillness, I remembered who I was before the world told me what I needed to be. This chapter wasn't just about reclaiming my body. It was about reclaiming my belonging. And none of it would have happened if I hadn't chosen to walk away from what no longer aligned, if I hadn't allowed the silence to speak, if I hadn't created space for something deeper to take root. I'm forever changed because of this experience, because it asked everything of me and gave me everything I didn't know I needed. It was the gift of celibacy I gave myself, the gift of space, of clarity, of coming home. And in that space I found spirit, I found nature, I found stillness, and I found a version of myself that I had been searching for all along. You're listening to the Love Tribe podcast, a space for truth, tenderness, and the kind of love that changes everything. I was guided on this journey, not for praise or performance, but to open the path to unconditional love. The kind of love that holds you, that walks beside you, that proves again and again that love wins. That by trusting something greater, love meets us here, not to complete us, but to walk with us. And when it arrives, it won't just feel like love, it will feel like a promise kept. For a long time, I thought intimacy was about closeness, about skin and breath and how well someone could read your body. I don't think I really considered it. I just wanted to feel something real. I wanted connection. I wanted to be seen and felt in a way that made me feel safe enough to soften. But over the last 10 years, that definition has changed completely. I started to understand that intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's energetic, it's spiritual. It's the way someone listens, the way they hold space when you speak, the way their presence makes your nervous system exhale. I no longer equate intimacy with being touched. I equate it with being met. And that shift changed everything. It changed the way I relate. It changed the kind of love I long for. It made surface-level interactions feel hollow, because I've felt the depth of what's possible when you stop performing and start showing up as your full self. I used to think intimacy was something I had to wait for, something reserved for romantic love. But some of the most meaningful soul-stirring moments in my life have happened outside of romance. Conversations with strangers who surprised me with their honesty. A long hug from a friend who understood without words. The moment I told my father I loved him for the first time. The trust that it took to let my friend see me not as the strong one, but as the one still healing. There's a deep kind of intimacy that lives in female friendships, a kind that nurtures you, reflects you, and stays beside you while you grow. It's in the stories we tell, the feelings we don't filter, the laughter that gently lifts the weight of life. I used to think I had to wait for romantic love to feel that closeness, but I've learned that intimacy lives wherever vulnerability is welcomed and held. That kind of love is everywhere if we let ourselves receive it. I now see intimacy as a sacred exchange, a dance of energy, a moment of truth between two people who are emotionally available enough to hold it. There's a reverence in that, a slowing down, a remembering. I've come to believe that our desire for intimacy is really a desire to be witnessed, without performance, without pressure. To be fully seen and still fully loved. And through celibacy, I've been able to return to that. Not in a romantic relationship, but with myself. I've become the witness, the lover, the one who meets me. And now, when I do choose to share that kind of intimacy again, it won't be from longing. It will be from alignment. Because the most sacred part of all was learning that intimacy doesn't begin when someone touches your body. It begins when you stop abandoning yourself. And I'm not the same person I was before. This journey shaped me, softened and revealed me. It helped me find the most authentic version of myself. The version that no longer chases love, but embodies it. The version who knows that real connection begins within. I didn't set out to become celibate. I set out to find peace. And somewhere along the way, I found God more intimately than I ever had before. I was raised Catholic. Some of those teachings shaped me. Others I had to unlearn. But what never left me was the presence of God in my life. Not the God of guilt or fear, but a quiet, consistent presence that stayed with me when everything else fell away. In the hardest moments when I was carrying too much and still showing up for everyone else, it was faith that held me. Not the kind you borrow from a book or a sermon, but the kind you earn in silence when no one else is coming to save you, and you still choose to believe that something greater is guiding your steps. This isn't something I've ever needed to prove or preach. It just is. And during these 10 years, I stopped looking for love in all the places that it had once left me. Instead, I began to notice it in the subtle moments. In the resilience I didn't know that I had. In the mornings when the light came through the window and I felt for no reason at all that I was exactly where I was meant to be. In the unexpected signs, the synchronicities, the deep inner knowing that said, keep going. I didn't find faith again because I was healed. I found it because I finally stopped pretending that I didn't need help. I let myself be led. And I listened, really listened for the first time. Celibacy gave me space to hear God clearly, to remember that my worth was never tied to being desired, to remember that I was already whole before anyone else ever saw me. And through that remembering, I returned to myself. I've learned more recently about spirituality and the sacredness of the body. Teachings from Tantra, Taoism, ancient wisdoms that see the body not as separate from spirit, but as its vessel. And while I don't belong to any one tradition, I've found echoes of truth in all of them. Because I've lived the truth they point to. That real power is quiet. That real intimacy is sacred. That real love begins with alignment, not attraction. And in that alignment, I didn't just reconnect with God, I reconnected with myself. This isn't a story about abstinence. It's a story about sovereignty. About becoming so grounded in my faith and my truth that I no longer needed to chase connection to feel whole. The Love Tribe, the podcast, the platform, the movement was born from that place. It exists because I chose to trust the voice of spirit over the noise of the world, because I still believe, that the kind of love that I'm calling in isn't a reward, it's a reflection of who I've become. And that reconnection didn't stay inside me, it echoed into everything I created. My Pilates studio became more than a place to move. It became a space where people felt safe to be fully themselves, because I had finally allowed myself to do the same. The energy shifted. The classes became more than just physical. They became a return to presence, a soft place to land, a place where people arrived for strength and found stillness too. That community didn't grow because I was perfect. It grew because I was real, because I held space for wholeness, even in the messy middle. And somehow, by being fully myself, I gave others permission to do the same. I didn't just survive this season, I was spiritually remade by it. And that's what wholeness means to me now. Not perfection, not arrival, but the continual return to faith, to self, and to love. There's a quiet kind of transformation that happens when no one is watching. Not the kind you broadcast, not the kind you chase, but the kind that settles into your bones after enough silence, after enough truth, after enough returning to yourself. That's what these 10 years have been for me. Not a vow of denial, but an invitation to devotion. Not a rejection of love, but a redefinition of it. And in that stillness, I didn't just find peace, I found clarity. I found the kind of love that can't be taken away because it lives within me now. And as this chapter slowly begins to shift, I carry that love with me into every future connection, into every version of myself I have yet to meet. I'm not at all who I was 10 years ago. This path has changed everything. Not just how I love, but how I live. How I hold myself, how I pray, how I trust what I know, even when no one else sees it yet. It taught me that intimacy isn't something you earn. It's something you share when you feel safe, when it's real. And you don't have to give your body to feel love. You don't have to prove your worth by being available, agreeable, or easy to hold. You just have to be true. To yourself first. There were years I felt invisible. There were days I thought I might never find true connection again, but I kept showing up for myself. Celibacy wasn't a cage, it was a doorway to healing, to sovereignty, to remembering who I am when no one else is in the room. And now, the love I'm calling in isn't a rescue, it's a reflection of the wholeness I've reclaimed, of the person I've become. It won't arrive to fill a gap, because there is no gap. It will meet me in truth where nothing has to be earned and everything can be shared. So if you're in the in-between, if you're waiting, wondering, doubting, whether you're still lovable without the closeness, let this be your reminder. You are, right now, exactly as you are. If something in today's episode stirred something in you, if you're navigating your own healing or starting to come back to yourself after a season of silence, please know you're not alone. And if you'd like to go deeper into any of the themes I've shared today, you can reach me directly at hello@wearethelovetribe.com. I would truly love to hear from you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and for walking this path beside me. Be gentle with yourself, trust your journey, and don't forget that I love you.